Joining us now is Steve Hilton. He is host of The Next Revolution, former strategy director for David Cameron. Well, Steve, first of all, nobody expected a defeat this big. It was a huge margin. I'm just wondering, everybody's saying, okay, she's not going to lose the no confidence vote tomorrow, but her defeat was so big, maybe she will. What do you think?
I agree with Ashley. I don't think that she will, because turkeys don't vote for Christmas, and in the end, the Conservative MPs who voted against her plan on Brexit, what they don't want, they may not want her plan, but they certainly don't want a general election. If she's voted down in the confidence vote, that means there'll be a general election, and they're risking having a Labour government under Jeremy Corbyn, which they don't want either. The real problem here is a structural problem. It's a little bit like the divided government situation here in America that we're seeing, only much more intense. You see, the problem is you had a direct vote on Brexit, but in Parliament, you have a majority against Brexit. And that's basically the division, the structural division, which means that the representatives of the people who voted for Brexit actually disagree with the people on Brexit. And so you're never going to get a vote in Parliament in favour of anything positive. That's why you're stuck.
Oh, Steve, so complicated. Steve, you know, I was taught in school that if you're going to say no, you come up with a different solution. So they voted no here. What's the solution?
Good question.
There's basically two solutions here. There's no deal, which means that on the official date, currently the law, the British law passed by the British Parliament is that on March the 29th of this year, the UK will leave the EU, regardless of what anything else happens, regardless of what the EU does, regardless of whether there's a negotiated deal or not. That is called no deal. If you get to that point without any kind of deal, it still happens. Brexit happens. It's just that you don't have a negotiated outcome. On the other hand, and by the way, I favour that. The reason that's good is because that is the only option that actually delivers what people voted for, actual Brexit. The alternative, which is that Parliament, the majority of Parliament, cross-party, Labour and Conservative, they get together, they get control of the process, and they either delay that, they pass legislation to delay the exit date, or they pass some other version of Brexit, which turns out not to be Brexit at all, because it means that European law and European regulations still apply in Britain. So the choices are very simple: no deal or no Brexit.
So, Steve, you say you favor the hard Brexit because it's what people voted for. But I have to ask you, do you think that when people voted for Brexit, they knew that they were voting for a hard border once again between Northern Ireland and all the pain that historically has come with that? Did they know that they were doing away with frictionless trade between England or the United Kingdom and the other countries in the EU? Did they know that they were going to have to deal with the fact that there are people living in the UK from other countries and UK citizens in other countries that instantly would have to leave the countries? I don't think they really thought about all this stuff, because I'm not sure they were ever told all this stuff.
They did. They were told. It was very clear. In fact, I'll tell you who told them. Both the government, who are arguing to stay in the EU, they did a campaign which was known as Project Fear. And Project Fear was conjuring up the worst possible case scenario. And all of those arguments were put to the British people in the campaign. They said, you do realise, don't you, if you vote for this Brexit, that's the end of being in the single market, that's the end of frictionless trade, that's the end of the situation in Ireland that we've had for all those years. All those points were put in the campaign, and still people voted for Brexit. And so it's ridiculous for the people who now don't want Brexit to say, oh, well, no one knew about all these potential consequences. They were the ones making those points in the campaign.
Interesting.
Hey, Steve, John Layfield here. Is the survival of the EU at stake itself? Because it seems to me Italy cannot get its debt under control. And if UK is allowed to drop out or drops out, either one, whatever happens, it seems like Italy could be next. It seems like a cascading effect could happen. And if that happens, it seems like the EU breaks up. Is the very existence of the EU at stake here, you think, with this, what happens with this Brexit?
But by the way, that very question is why this process is such a nightmare, because the EU wants to make sure that it isn't. And it wants to send a message to any other country thinking about doing this, that it's going to be an absolute nightmare for you and you're going to have real pain. So that's why we're in this terrible position. I don't think it's a threat because at the heart of the EU, you've got France and Germany, and you may have some countries around the edge who may choose to follow Britain out if it works out well for Britain in the years ahead. But at the core, you've got some people there who truly believe in a European state where national identities are basically erased and you have one government for Europe. That's what they actually want to see. And so I think that powerhouse for integration will continue at the core of the EU.
Steve, it's Carol Roth. I have to say, this is the worst deal-making game show I've probably ever seen. But keeping with the game themes, what kind of probabilities do you attach as of today to the different outcomes? Do you have sort of a handicap on what probability goes with which potential outcome?
Yeah, I think the most likely situation is that Parliament takes control of the process, it delays the exit date, and pushes forward an alternative solution which basically keeps the UK in the EU. In other words, Brexit is basically overturned. That, I think, is the most likely. I would give it something like 60%. And then I would give something like 20% chance for a second referendum, because they can't figure it out and they go back for another vote, and then 20% chance for leaving without a deal. But I think the most likely situation is that Brexit doesn't happen.
Steve, last question. Does this pounding defeat that Theresa May suffered today, does that indicate that rather than worrying about what might happen if there is a Brexit, they're more worried, as they were in the beginning, about being controlled by European bureaucrats?
No, it's that Parliament doesn't want Brexit. And remember that the problem with her deal is that nobody liked it. Even the pro-Brexit people didn't like it, because in their view, it wasn't really solving any of the problems. It was basically a transition period with a big price tag attached, £39 billion paid to the EU, but it didn't really get to the real answers on what this future relationship looks like, and that's why it didn't satisfy anyone. So no one should be crying over the defeat of this deal. It was a terrible deal, and quite right that it was defeated so heavily. But the big questions still remain to be answered.
Steve Hilton, great to see you, Steve. Thank you for coming in again. Appreciate it.